University, college went from being about preparing people for work to be productive members of society to an experience.
Right.
University college was not sold as an experience. It was a means to an end. Trade school still is. And that's one thing that is fundamental that I think you miss in a lot of higher education today. Trade schools. That's one of, and by the way, you don't even necessarily need trade schools in many fields of employment or starting a business right now. It's more accessible to everybody. So again, we see this administration providing a solution, to be clear. In this case, one of the beneficiaries, this is President Trump, wrote about this on Truth Social. He said, I am considering taking $3 billion of grant money away from a very anti-Semitic Harvard and giving it to trade schools all across our land. So many trade schools. What a great investment that would be for the USA. And so badly needed. And I think this is actually a great idea. I'll get into why until you take into consideration that the left will eventually get their hands into trade schools.
Ugh.
I didn't even take a class for that.
No, you didn't. No.
By the way,
Splinters for days.
Tenured professor.
I went from memory.
I'm going to lay this out for you. So in case those of you who want to skip ahead are like, I don't have time for this. Investing in trade schools will fix a labor shortage. Kids who do it are happier, make more money, and they do better. They're saddled with less debt, just to be clear. So it's a better investment. It makes more sense, and I would recommend it over an Ivy League university unless you need a degree specifically for law or medicine. Key fact 1 here. References available, link in the description. We have 7 million able-bodied men ages 25 to 54 who are not working nor looking for work. Now, sometimes the left will say, well, they're not qualified for the work. Okay, let's make them qualified. How about that? We have a labor force participation rate of 62.7, 63.2. We're not going to make them qualified through genderqueer basket weaving studies at Brown. Going to make them qualified with a trade school. So here's a very specific example. 439,000 new net construction jobs are needed in 2025 alone. You're willing to work, you go to a trade school, you can start working immediately and make good money. The same cannot be said for your Ivy League degree.
Great money. And you have a skill.
There you go. Exactly. Here's a key fact, second one. I mean, it's actually just a good investment if you look at dollars. So like the average cost for a trade school, okay, is $33,000. It can be as low as $2,000. Bachelor's degrees anywhere from $90,000 to $200,000. Now let's look at the starting salaries. A bachelor's degree, if you get a job in that field of work, which many people don't, $70,000. Trade school, the average after an apprenticeship, which can be completed in the same amount of time it takes to get a bachelor's degree, $72,000. And you're making money while doing your apprenticeship. It's way less money up front, and you can make way more money on the back end, or at least equivalent.
Or at least at starting. I mean, these kids are getting out of college and their starting wages aren't covering their student loans.
No, not at all.
No. You don't have student loans, you get the same starting wage.
Also, you have to compound that, right? If you make that money initially and you're not out of pocket with debt, guess what? You can invest it.
Yeah.
In 20. That's why you have so many. You're like, how did this guy who just worked construction, or he was a carpenter, how did he retire so young? He was able to start investing and saving when he was 18.
Save up, buy a fleet of trucks, buy a bunch of tools, hire workers. Now you got your own contracting business.
Yep. And I know what you'll say, Ivy Leaguers, even though you make millions of dollars, you're the professors there. It's not all about money. I get it. It's a Disney film, right? Where dad is a Harry Chapin song who's always out working. Working is bad. The patriarchal system is bad. And for some reason, those in higher education are inherently altruistic, even though you collect mammoth salaries. All right, got it. Let's take this to personal happiness and satisfaction. People who graduate from trade schools are actually happier or satisfied. The statistics on somewhat or very satisfied, 91%. Those who graduated from trade school. Let's contrast that with those who have a bachelor's degree. Only 56% of those with bachelor's degrees are satisfied. So 56 to 91, let's call the money a wash, only you don't have a bunch of debt. Hey, why are we putting $3 billion, $8 billion into Harvard again? It's a lie. It's a lie. The irony here is that you'll have some pothead at a university tell you, and we're not having a conversation about weed right now, shut up. But you'll have some pothead tell you, like, man, look, it's the system, man. While he is the beneficiary and a product of that system, he is a part of that system. You want to be outside the system? Learn a valuable skill set. okay? Have some kind of a marketable service. Start a family. You want to go nuts? You want to be Sid Vicious? You want to be a real rebel? Single parent income household. Oh my God. The insanity. That's the way. The system is go to school, saddle yourself with debt, male or female. Girls can do everything men can do, and men can not really do everything girls can do, but that's neither here nor there. Dual income household, enter into that rat race while you bitch about corporate America.
Yeah. While trying to pay off student debt and buy a house when it's unaffordable.
Right. Plus, by the way, more investments in trade schools means less accidents on the job side, like on the job site. I can't even get to it. Like this. Here it goes.
You know, I'm starting to think that's a lady.
That's what he said. That's what the man said. I should have gone to trade school.
I think there was a bun on the back. I think it might have been a gal.
No, it's just an Asian guy.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Sometimes.
I didn't notice, too, when he said the butt clenched.
Yeah, you see that time? Yeah. Hold it in.
You think you train for that if you ever get electrocuted to like clinch because you will crap your pants?
I think you could crack a walnut on there.
You really could. No poops getting out.
Maybe that's what he was saying. Oh, I can pull. So funny.
Look out below.
It's a human cartoon. I think the reason it's so funny is when they get electrocuted, the feet were on the ladder. And then they made the choice to straighten them.
Yeah.
Like it was a perfect. Like,
I don't know if it's a choice,
It's
Steven.
not.
I think that's all involuntary.
Yeah, at that point.
It's just decided to
You
start
keep
playing.
thinking it's a choice. I don't think it's a choice.
I know it's
But
not.
then it creates the problem of now I'm going to fall.
I know. There's no good choice.
There's no good way out of this.
I tell you what the good way would have been beforehand to go to trade school.
There you go.
Tie it all back.
Don't touch live wires.
Yeah, you would have learned
Day
how
one.
to open a circuit.
By the way, if you guys are not, and I'm going to go to the last key fact here, if you guys are not Rumble Premium members, we're going to be talking about RFK Jr. As well today. We could never talk about this on YouTube. That's why it's only live on Rumble. Click that button, join Rumble Premium. Mug Club is Rumble Premium. Rumble Premium is Mug Club. We can't do this without you. It's $99 a year if you still want this hand-etched mug, or try it for $9 a month. If you guys don't join, then the free content goes away anyway, but we hope that you enjoy it, and you'll go on to Tim Pool after this. Only let us earn your dollar. That's all that we ask. And, of course, you get everything ad-free and more show, more content, all of it. All right, key fact number 3. So trade school. We've gone through all the pros, but here's another one. You can be in business for yourself, and you actually are more likely to find success that way if you've gone to trade school, or frankly, if you don't, in many cases, go to university. So over half of small business owners have no college degree.
Jeez.
Whatsoever. And only 61% of all business owners think that college is very or somewhat important. So it's about a split. It's a split as far as how many business owners have a college degree and how many of them think that a college degree is important on both sides.
And I'd argue that 61% that do think that it is necessary or important, somewhat important, is they learn how business works.
Right. Yeah.
How to balance a budget. Not everyone learns that.
No, not everyone learns that at all. And as a matter of fact, you have people who, I don't know what it is when kids study economics, because I've met so many people who have degrees in economics from very prestigious schools who don't understand it at all. I mean, basic fundamental economics. They've never read. They've never read.
It's not an exact science. That's the problem.
How do you graduate from economics and never read Smith? How do you graduate and have a degree in economics and never read Soul if you're going to be reading all kinds of? You read Krugman? I mean. It's one of those things you realize that people are being engineered. I think that now you are actually at a net deficit if you spend 4 years, or if you're going for a master's degree or PhD, 6 years, in Gerald's case, 9 at university. I think you're actually starting off at a deficit. I really do. I really do. I just don't think that it doesn't make sense in 2025. And I think that the veil has been taken off here. It's been torn off at this point. We now know that these are indoctrination institutions.
Yeah.
And hey, if you want to do that, fine. Fund it yourself. Fund your own propaganda.
I mean, we think about the impact that this would have. One, you'd have a lot more people who rightfully should be in a trade program, getting skills to make great money. And I say rightfully should be in a trade program, meaning that's where their interest probably lies. So that's where they're going to have the most success in life. not because it's like, yeah, you're stupid, go to a trade program. I think that's what the binary is right now. It's like, if you're smart, you go to college. If you're dumb, you go to something
the
else,
assumption
you just get
that
a job. And that's just not true. That's not
true.
practically what happens. But think about what that would do to universities. One, it would stop them from just churning out people that hate America, or at least start out hating America. The longer you go when you have kids and have a family, you start to get more conservative because you're like, wait a minute, I'm kind of shaking off all that crap that I learned in college. It would lower the price of tuition for universities. It would change fundamentally how universities structure themselves to be able to attract more people when the government is not just handing money out hand over fist. And you start to kind of reimagine how this would work. Like, it's a much, much, much better system. And right now, it's just, there is no way to fix this other than kind of blowing it up like Trump is doing right now with Harvard. I don't know if it's just Harvard or if he's making a point.
I think he's making a point.
Both, right? So maybe he's making a point like, look, we have to fix this as institutions in the United States. If we don't, we're going to have the same problems we've always
When people
had.
talk about how long Harvard has been around or any of these schools.
Why did it get founded, by the way? Tell me that. Tell me the Christian roots of all of these universities, basically to train pastors.
Yeah, that's a big part.
That's the founding.
And then we went through a phase where it expanded. But here's the thing. There was a transition, namely in the 60s. And this was by design, by the way, with Marxists deliberately infiltrating institutions. You see it, of course, with the CIA and FBI, and you see it with Ivy League schools. This is not a conspiracy theory, by the way. You can go back and you can read JFK talk about this. You can hear MLK Jr. talk about this. University, college went from being about preparing people for work to be productive members of society to an experience.
Right.
University college was not sold as an experience. It was a means to an end. Trade school still is. And that's one thing that is fundamental that I think you miss in a lot of higher education today. And let me make the case here is, okay, you go to a 4-year program in some kind of a degree, let's say philosophy. Okay, there's less accountability there. You're getting a little further away from being prepared for real life or developing a work ethic. Oh, wait, you're taking out student loans so you don't work your way through college and you'll kind of pay it off later and there might be student loan forgiveness. Okay, you're a little further away. Each change that we have made has taken people further away from the original purpose of college. And I will say this, foundationally, I have met a lot of people who graduate with bachelor's degrees who have no work ethic. And the first thing they will tell you is, I am so grateful for my college experience because, it really taught me to do hard work. Like, I had subjects that I didn't like, but I had to study for the test. Okay, how about making cabinets? How about fixing an HVAC system? You think that you learned a work ethic by having to study in an air-conditioned dormitory between nights of alcoholism for a subject that you kind of voluntarily chose? You think that that is going to help prepare you for the real world more than actually starting the craft or trade of your chosen profession? You can have people who get master's. I know someone who had a master's, no joke, in German poetry.
What?
Yeah.
Why? Why
to
would you
teach
do
German
that?
poetry.
To understand Mein Kampf?
Well,
The hell?
the man was a silver-tongued devil.
Oh, really? Nice.
There once was a train. There once was a train in Berlin.
No, let's make it Poland.
It went very fast in Poland.
Yes. We'll put the camps.
But think of it, seriously, you have kids who graduate and they don't develop a work ethic. And
No.
if anything, they develop an ethic, a work ethic in how to do college. And it's so far removed from real life. The college experience for a lot of people, for most people throughout its history, was, okay, you went, you took this course load in your chosen vocation, and you worked your way through it to pay for it. Now it's change your major. Now it's same cost regardless of degree or how useful it is in the real world. Student debt, maybe I pay it off, maybe I don't. It can be restructured, maybe it's forgiven. Maybe move back in with mom and dad and stay on their health care until 26. And all of this, by the way, it lends itself to the problem that we have of male-female dynamics, of gender, of the nuclear family, because you have people continuing their stage of adolescence into their mid-20s before they even think about what used to be the real world. And people are upset that we're saying, all right, if this is what you want to do, fund it yourself. Like, that's where we are. I'm not just saying that, and I have children. If they want to go to a specific school to study something that requires a degree, of course, I'll be supportive. But if not, I'm not going to tell them, you absolutely have to go to college. Hey, I want to see the most impressive name on that diploma that I possibly can. No, I want to look, we should treat this part of our life cycle as we do any other problem, any other puzzle to solve. It's all right, let's sit down. What is it that you want out of this? What is it that you are willing to sacrifice? And what does the end game look like? With college, we go, oh, it's just a great experience. You know who you don't hear? Here's one thing too, and you guys can comment below. It always bothered me when I would hear people say, oh, college, best years of my life. Your family's right there, dickhead.
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't.
Yeah.
You don't hear people who say, you know what, I didn't go to college, I started a business. They're usually, in my experience, as an anecdotal, more likely to say, you know, and I'm the happiest I've ever been with my family. I got to watch my kids grow up. I got to save a little. People who go to university, they'll say, oh man, I wish I could go back. Best years of my life. It shouldn't be the best years of your life. It should be a very transitional, temporary period of your life to prepare you for the things that matter. What matters? Family, security, God, faith, country, or impressing people at cocktail parties with your diploma that was subsidized by the American taxpayer. Stop selling me this bullshit. It's bad for the student. It's bad for male and female in college. It's bad for the taxpayer, and it's bad for this country. Hey, do you like what you saw? I don't know how, because it's on YouTube and we have to cut all the good parts out. So you should tune in live weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern on Rumble, where we can still speak freely and even use words like and get and whoa. You've been here this whole time?
Yeah. Snuck in.